Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I thought I would just chat through what a few hours of gardening looks like, just to change it up a little bit, do some different types of content. This afternoon I really just wanted to get some gardening done, so I put on a podcast and then I listened to some music. I've mentioned Helki a few times, but Helki Rain has a YouTube channel here, and her partner run a really cool podcast that I've been loving listening to. So I just popped that on and I wanted to get some tomatoes planted today. I've already planted a few, but decided to just clean up a few areas of the garden and get a few more in the ground. It seems like summer has just truly arrived at the moment. The days are so much warmer and the weeds and everything from the cooler months is just going to seed and just flopping over everywhere and making a mess. So first of all, I'm just tidying up some silver beet which went to seed. It's just crazy what this looks like. This is what silver beet looks like when it goes to seed and you just let it keep growing. The roots on it are massive and it's just taking up space. The leaves go a little bit bitter as well when the plant starts to go to seed. So I'm just putting this one in the compost, as well as clearing out a lot of the poppies. They were done and they're all going to seed as well, and I don't particularly want like hundreds of poppies in this area, so I am just clearing space here, weeding out all of the grass from this area to plant a few tomatoes in here. A lot of people wonder whether no-dig gardening means that you have weeds or not, or how many weeds you have. And yeah, I definitely do have some grass popping up in this garden. It all used to be grass, and then we covered it with cardboard and then compost. And like every other type of gardening, you have weeds. That's just the nature of gardening. There is no type of gardening where you absolutely have no weeds, unless you want to use pesticides and herbicides, which I really don't encourage and do not do in my garden, because I want to encourage native wildlife and pollinators and increase biodiversity. So that means I have a few weeds to pull, and yeah, I'd be worried if you weren't pulling weeds. I'll put it like that. So yeah, these are pretty easy to get out though. They're not fully set into the ground in terms of established roots or anything. There's just a few runners from the grass that are fairly easy to maintain and pull out. And over the coming months, I'll probably just put some more cardboard over some of these areas and then heavily mulch it just to suppress them even further. Now, I have been a little bad with labeling, so I am not too sure actually what I'm planting here, but I know they're tomatoes, and that is okay because I know that all of the ones that I did plant are ones that I want to grow, so it's going to be a little surprise and we'll see what they are. I am making sure just to break up the ground a little bit, just using a hand tool. I wasn't too interested in using any other bigger tools today. I just really wanted to kind of get my hands in the dirt and just have a look and see what the soil looks like at the moment. It definitely does need a little bit more nutrients, so I will be fertilizing these tomatoes with some sea salt and also just adding mulch on as well to keep all the moisture in the ground over the warmer months. And I'm just using that same mulch that I have. I have a big pile out the front of the house that I need to work through, so I'm just using that on the tomatoes just to use up what I have. If you are noticing that your plants are struggling in the warmer months, adding some mulch on might be really beneficial just to lock in all of that moisture, and the worms love it. Like, the worms need food to start to break down and they need protection from sunlight, so adding mulch onto the garden is definitely important over the warmer months. As is fertilizing, that I kind of talked about in my other video. I'm just using some seaweed fertilizer here to feed the tomatoes. And then I have just one little snowball viburnum that needed a little bit of extra mulch, you can see here, so I'm just helping this little plant out a little bit, and also it will help to suppress the grass around this plant so that it's not competing for the nutrients with the grass. Alright, next up I need to weed out all of these little borage plants. I only planted one borage here, but I always say you plant one borage and you have 1,000. So I'm just weeding these around from the tomatoes. And rather than just putting them in the compost, I am just going to pile them all up after I weed some of them and use them as mulch rings around the tomatoes. Borage, like comfrey and yarrow and a few other plants, is kind of more like a bioaccumulator. So it draws up nutrients from the soil and you can use it as mulch. So I like to just make the most of the weeds around rather than throwing them into the compost. When they don't have flowers or seeds, you can just lay them around little plants, and I'm making like little rings around the plants where all of the seedlings, I'm just popping them down, and then it'll act as a mulch for the tomatoes and slowly break down over time and feed the plants. And then I'm just tidying up this little garden bed, taking out some old brassica plants and just any weeds that I see popping up. This garden bed is actually pretty good with weeds, so it's doing really well, and I think that's just because I've planted it fairly densely. And this is the one where I have the rhubarb in. I have some sea holly or eryngium up the front here, which are going to be gorgeous blue flowers. I'm so excited for them. One of the woolly bushes there on the left, you can see, is kind of struggling a little bit. It's just really hated all of that wet weather that we had, but I'm really hoping it comes back. One of my other ones is doing really well, so we'll see how this one goes. But I really love all of the plants in this area. It's just kind of like my little fairy garden area, and I am so excited to see them all grow up and fill in the whole area. Next, I wanted to continue planting some dahlias in the garden. I've already planted 2 here that you can see next to the shed, which, yes, it does need to be repainted, and I'm being pretty cautious around kind of what food plants I'm growing around here, but it's fine, the paint's fine, and I'll get around to painting and sanding it back when I get some time, which time I don't have a lot of at the moment. But I'm so excited to get some dahlias in the ground. This is kind of like an investment crop that I said I wanted to do this year, just to purchase a few. So I have purchased some, and I've just pre-sprouted these, so I've grown them up in pots first so that I know that they're viable and I can then plant them out like this one here. So they've been growing for a few weeks now and have all sprouted. This one is going to be a gorgeous reddy purple flower, and as the tubers grow, hopefully I'll be able to divide them, and I've chose flowers that I really love the colour of, so hopefully they grow well and I can have more tubers and gradually expand my collection as the years go. I was also adding some worm castings in there, taking out some of the clumps of worms. I didn't realize there was that many in there. And the worms, they'll help to break down all of the grass that's left here. You saw that clump of grass. That's because this again was all lawn before I put cardboard and then compost down. And the soil is looking really nice in this area. So hopefully they'll do okay. It gets morning sun and then afternoon shade, which dahlias like. Same with lettuce and other greens. So I think they'll do pretty well in this area. But yeah, I'll share the progress of those as they grow. I'm then just clearing some onions. I had a few onions that were okay from this area, but majority of the red onions just went to seed. As you can see, all of those balls of onion flowers, there's so many seeds in those, but a few like these ones here, they did okay. So we'll pop those inside and have them with some recipes that I will find something to do with them. And I'm going to be planting another dahlia in this little patch next to the crepe myrtle, yeah, the soil here isn't fantastic, as I'm finding out. It was really hard and just really high clay content in this area. This has never had a garden in it other than all these plants now, so it was difficult to dig around here. But that just means I need to keep adding organic matter and keep adding plants so that the worms can move throughout all of the roots and slowly get some better soil in this area. So this dahlia here, I think it's called Formby Art. I'll put a photo over the screen, but yeah, I'm super excited just to dot these around the garden and just do some experimenting and see where they grow well and what conditions they like in this climate, because I have never grown dahlias in this climate before. So I'm excited to see how they grow and whether we can get some beautiful flowers from them. In an upcoming video, I will share an update on the flower farm and what's happening with that. I am really excited for a few things that are happening and really excited for next year to really kickstart all of the selling and making bouquets and hopefully starting a market stall soon. This is the aftermath of gardening. Gardening is a lot of work. Yeah, there's so much to process and so much garden waste that you have after clearing out areas. I'm pretty lazy with this, I must admit, and a lot of this just goes down into a pile down the back or on one of my no-dig garden beds where I'm just trying to build up organic matter. So that's where that was going. And then I was getting a little tired. You can probably tell my face here, I look a little tired. I just wanted to just take some seeds off the coriander plants that I had and just collect these for planting them again, probably in a few weeks when I have time. So I'm just saving some seeds of these, and it's a nice calming activity to do, and I'm just popping them in a seed packet that Jeff from Whitburn Environmental has. These are really great because you can, they're nice and big, the packets, they look nice, which I appreciate, and I can write down all the information about them when I save the seeds, what they are, and have it a little bit more organized. And then the last job for the day was potting up some jalapeno and capsicum plants, or I think they were sweet wax capsicums. And yeah, this was all I got up to today. It was a really good few hours of gardening, and I definitely do not do this every day. I want to make that clear. I probably do this maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks, have a solid gardening session. But most of my gardening is really just like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But today I really just felt like being outside in the garden. It was nice and cool. As you can see, I'm wearing a jumper here, which was so nice to wear for to be outside and to be nice and cool and enjoy the outdoors. Listening to music and a podcast, it was a really nice time. So I hope you enjoyed seeing what a few hours in the garden looks like. Let me know what you're up to in the garden right now. I would love to know, what are you planting, what are you growing, what are you harvesting? Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world. And until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.